What's happening? Andy here. I am joined today by the boys at MCC, Memphis Communications in Memphis, Shane and Scot Berry. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. Doing great. Good to see you, Andy.
And fantastic indeed. And actually, I'm honored to be referred to as a boy. We're pretty old now, and anything that throws a little youth our way, we applaud. So thank you.
Boy in spirit, definitely.
You guys look very young to me. So I love the stage. That's a great place. I've been on that stage myself. Actually, unfortunately, this is the first time in, 6 years now that I haven't personally stopped by to do these interviews. You guys are a big supporter of our Jillian Fund ride. Our ride for Jillian each year comes through Memphis, and it came through earlier this year in a much smaller way. It was the last stop for Mike Stramalio and JB Brostrom as they rode through. You hosted them again. I saw some pictures, and we'll show those. I wanted to ask, how's Memphis doing, and how's your families? How are your people doing? How's everyone out your way?
Well, everybody is doing well. We've been real fortunate with everything that is going on nationally and on the world stage. All of our employees, they've been healthy. We've been able to keep them all on board, keep them working. We've always, I would say that we've benefited as we look at has there been any blessings or any good things that have come from what we would consider to be bad? A lot of good has come from it because we've been able to slow down and do all the projects that we do for other people. We've now been able to bring those resources in-house and do them in-house and take care of those issues that we wanted to solve, and also processes we wanted to improve. It's given us a couple months to do that. So I would say that's just one of the good that's come from what we would consider bad or disruption of our typical day-to-day business.
And I think it's good to say that we don't have a single employee that has been affected by COVID. And, we purposed at the very onset of this to retain every employee, and we've done just that. So we are indeed blessed. We're getting a lot done. Now, we haven't been affected by COVID, but we've had people have heart surgeries. We've had somebody hit by a tornado, and like Shane and I have talked about, there's a million ways to die, so or get sick, and thankfully COVID hadn't been a visitor here.
That's very good to hear. I'm glad you guys are marching right along. And how's it been for your people working in your sales team? I'll ask one of you to answer about the sales, and then I'll ask a similar question about service. What's it been like for the techs going out? Are they obviously probably changing the way they walk into people's offices? And I'm imagining masks, and are there plastic shields and sanitizer? What's the process been like? How about one of you guys takes the sales side, and the other one, if you could answer the service part?
Yeah, I'll take the sales. I would say from a sales perspective, just like I've seen on all of your past interviews with other business owners, we're faced with the same. For the most part, as it relates to working remotely, sales reps can work from anywhere. That was even pre-pandemic. So for them, it's just a matter of probably doubling, tripling, quadrupling their prospecting efforts. It has helped them learn to demonstrate remotely things that they probably didn't have a good skill set to begin with. It's helped them to practice those skills, prospecting for those appointments for those businesses that are working remotely or that were essential and they're still on site. We are continuing to ask those businesses, how would you like us to come on site? How would you like us to be prepared? Do we need to be PPE prepared to walk on your site as a sales representative to serve you and consult you? So we've done that, and we've pretty much not had a problem. There's been a mix. It's been interesting. Every business is not doing it the same, irregardless of maybe what we're told to do. We've seen it from no social distancing, even in customers shaking hands, and you're going, wait a minute, I thought we weren't supposed to do that. And so sales reps are going, hey, what do you do when they extend their hand?
It's tough to break habits. You know
what you do? Just be careful.
And then you run back to your car and you
yeah, hand sanitizer. So everybody has what they need for those types of events. But no doubt, I think what it's going to do going forward throughout the rest of this year, as they say, there's a potential fall, outbreak coming again. It is making every sales representative better in all areas of how they present. So it's again, going back to, can you look at the glass half full? What goods come out of it? We can definitely on the sales side say our sales pros have had to become better presenters remotely. And that's going to help them in the future, no doubt about it.
From a service side, really just a common sense, practical approach. Everybody's so fearful. Never lived in a time where I've seen so many afraid people in my life. We're just trying to coach people up on facts and figures rather than hysteria and emotions. So, Shane and I were talking the other day, everybody's going to die. We don't get to pick when we die. We don't get to pick what we die from, and we all die sooner than we want to. So, and we were just going through the facts about, hey folks, hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, etc. But, some of those things you have some control over, and like so many things in life, you have absolutely no control over. And to spend a lot of time fretting over them, worrying about them, it's really a waste of energy and effort. So we're really trying to refocus the mind with facts. When you realize that if you did get COVID, I think the new number is it's 0.3 chance that you would die from it. Most people, as we've learned, asymptomatic, don't even know they had it or have it. We had people raise their hands in all of our offices on our video calls. Anybody who's had it, nobody's raised their hand. It's horrible.
By no means, though, because it can come across. This does not marginalize. We're not trying to marginalize the threat or the problem.
We've had a brother who died 3-4 years ago from a different ailment. He died in his youth, in his prime. So we're sensitive to the challenges that are out there, and really what we want to be sensitive to are people's fear sets. So from a service perspective, we're taking a common sense approach. We're not shaking hands. We're social distancing with the 6-foot barrier. We're certainly insisting if they're sick, we don't allow them to come to work if they're sick. Of course, they're thoughtful. They don't come to work. They tell us they're sick. We encourage them to stay home. We've required all of them to get doctor's notices that they're healthy to come back to work before we allow them to come to work. And from a client's perspective, it's just really another way to serve customers. We've always been about what does the customer want, what do they need, and how can we serve? So if they want us to show up in mask, we've made masks available for our technicians. If they want us to show up in gloves and masks, they've got those for our technical teams and sales teams. If they want us to show up in a tinfoil hat, Shane's good at making those, tinfoil hats that are pointed at the top. We'll show up.
Just thank the movie signs.
We'll do that.
Good with that.
So it's just rather than sitting and worrying and wondering and fear, we're really just plowing ahead, forging ahead like people from yesteryear, the people who have made this great country possible, the greatest generation that ever lived. They've been through much worse. So we're not focused on the nasty now and now. We're looking at the sweet by and by. We're looking towards the future and really building for that.
Well, it sounds like you guys have really taken the opportunity to use the disruption to, obviously educate your people. You mentioned they're going to come out of the gate a little bit better than they were. They're using the technology more now, right? So it's not just going out and selling it. It's I'm using this at home. Here's what we did to secure me, to get me VPN into the system so I can get my files, so I can be safe. Security is a big deal right now with all these companies going back to they're spreading out and offering remote capabilities to their employees. But, if they're not staying on top of the security, then they're vulnerable, right? So this is a lot of opportunity for your reps to go out there and say, this is how we handled it. And, so going forward, I think there's a lot of hope for companies like you guys, and you're certainly right in the middle of that with, communications and collaboration being a big part of what you sell. I'm going to share my screen out now. I want to give a little tour about, maybe showcase a little bit about MCC and this awesome location facility that you have. This is from our ride last year, if you can see. I'm just going to go through, and you guys have always been such a generous host and helping us with our charity and bringing the news in, and Mike is on stage left and right at your place, which obviously he loves. I have another photo I want to go through from Mike's trip this year. This was all new, right? I'm seeing a lot of really cool screens up with charts and maps, and I hadn't seen that before. Could you guys tell me a little bit about what I'm looking at here? I'll hold on this one here so you can get a better view of it. Who wants it? What am I?
That's our client experience team. That's our service operations center for all of our offices. All inbound calls for help come into there, help desk, dispatch, and we're leveraging in a very special, and I might add, homegrown, unique way, intelligible and actionable intelligence data to manage exceptions for service-related matters. So all of those visuals you see are pulling data from the SAP platform and allowing our people to make real-time, accurate decisions to serve clients at another level. I might add, our service levels have not declined much at all, and in many ways have been heightened through the last 2 or 3 months. So we're, weekly reporting, looking at numbers and looking at, trouble calls made, and some of our installations for some of the custom work that we do. A lot of those areas have picked up tremendously. But that's a real key piece that Shane and I are very proud of. We take a lot of pride in giving our people the tools they need to do the best they possibly can to serve our clients. And I might add that the employees that operate in there are the envy of the operation. They absolutely love it. It's been a great 5 years in the making, quite frankly, when we started live with SAP.
Well, it looks amazing. It looks like something right out of a, NASA or a Mission Impossible movie. It's got to be great for those guys coming to work every day to look at that. But then just the ability and having everything up on the screens in front of you for everybody to see. Is this part of Forza? Is this your own creation? How did this get put together?
Well, it's a collaboration of all of it. It's taken the foundation of SAP and Forza. And we had our internal talent, which we're really blessed to have, author some of the architect that Shane and I wanted built out in the system, so we could again manage the exceptions in service. So it's worked real well. It's been pretty phenomenal, and it's created quite a buzz in a lot of places.
Well, and another area by having that actionable data, you're trying to have everything visible. So when you have no piece of information that's hidden, but it's on a large screen, there was a concern by the technical admin, oh my gosh, I can't hide. I mean, there's factual data that 12 people are seeing. Yeah. And so we had to make sure everybody understood that data also benefits them, because if it's showing where they're hurting, or a technician's having a problem, or a customer's not being served timely, then somebody can quickly address it, where a technician might say, I can still do this. I can still do it timely, but they really needed help.
Yeah.
And so we can address that very quickly. So, anytime you can have a business where all that data is front and center and you don't have to dig for it, it's there, and the people that are looking at it know their roles, you're going to serve a customer much better. And so we've definitely benefited and already seen the results of having that going like I said, all the time.
Yeah, actually, you could walk in that room and at a glance, the immediate health of your service operation across all of our divisions. So there's very, very little questions that have to be asked. It's right there front and center. And then in that particular room, everything you see in there, those are services that we provide and sell in other divisions of our company. So in that room, sound masking, we design and sell that for large corporations and small alike. There's video projection. We're heavily involved with all types of laser projection. Those are laser projectors. We're, the screens, even the furniture in there. We're resellers for all that, but we design, we engineer, we install, we maintain. That's the same thing that happens in the document side solution. This happens in the tech space. The very call we're on today, the LED screen behind us, this is all part of what we do and who we are, the video conferencing cameras. So we're very diversified, and it's worked out extremely well during times like these.
Well, I have to say it's amazing that, every time I come there, and as I mentioned, it's been, I think, 6 times. Every time we've come, you have added or built or developed something completely new from the last time, whether it was that stage you're sitting on there was new one year, the screens, that central command center you just built, some of the AV stuff you did in some of the prior trips. It's amazing. You guys never sit still. And that's why you're one of the great ones. That's why I'm wearing my orange hat for you today. And
we appreciate you represent well the tie and the white shirt. I mean, culturally, you fit right into an MCC culture. So,
and the next build out is your office.
That's
and
right.
That'll be completed in about 3 months. So, I don't know if you've shared with the family the relocation plan, but if you haven't, I can help communicate that.
I am considering this a bit of an interview, so that's why I did wear the proper attire for an MCC employee, just in case this little gig I have doesn't work out for me. So,
well, dress for the job you want, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. No, I love
great.
coming down there to visit you. Memphis is just a special town, and I've actually only been down there to visit you. So it's been a great trip every year. I really missed it this year. Hopefully next year we'll get things back on track, and we'll be sitting face to face with no masks, hopefully, and fingers crossed, and we'll.
Mike wore a mask.
No, there was.
I don't think they showed up in here with a mask.
When John and Mike were here, there were lots of hugs, lots of high fives.
There was not any social distancing.
Not too many. Yeah.
Oh wait, you're gonna cut this, right? This is gonna be edited.
There's no editing.
I'm sorry,
but there are other ailments. There are other worse ailments. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But we had a sweet time, and it was really nice of them. We were really grateful that they were able to come by again, even though it was just 2 lone riders.
Yeah,
we just wondered
awesome.
where the rest of the pack was.
You were
But
the last
I know
part
they had
of the trip. You were their last stop. They got forced back because of that hurricane that was throwing some weather up the East Coast. So they had to make some last adjustments. And you were as far east as they got this year. I like to say they couldn't make it without me. But that's just,
I would. Hey, we will go along with that. I think that's probably.
we would concur with that assessment.
And I think if Gavin was there,
that's exactly right.
And if Gavin was there, they would have just ridden right through the storm, even though there was a storm.
Actually, Gavin would have found the littlest holes in that storm. I don't know how he does it, but we called it the Williams Way for all these years. And he danced around storms, and we could see them on our radar, thinking we're in trouble. And little by little, just weaved around. I don't know how he did it. It was awesome. I missed it this year.
That's great.
Well, any last shout outs you guys would like to give? Anyone who stands out, one of your vendors perhaps, or anyone in Memphis family or whoever? Shane, why don't you give one, and then you give one as well.
Well, really, I'll do a shout out since I'm more tied into the document solutions division and mailing solutions. I would give a shout out really to all my fellow dealers that have that. We're blessed with positive attitudes. You don't get into this type of industry with attitude that it can't be done. And we're a bunch of overcomers. And it's always good to watch these interviews or read the articles you publish, because those are always encouraging. And instead of reading the press that is always negative, you have to jump into this industry publication you have, and you can always come away from the sales reps that we encourage to read it. There's always good information there. So really a shout out to all those that continue to grow and hire and recruit and train and motivate to keep this industry thriving. So we're totally grateful to be along that same journey and locking arms with each and every one of you. So I would just say, keep the attitude, keep the positive attitude, and we'll be celebrating it, God willing, in 2021 and saying, look what we overcame, and with the help and the grace of Almighty God. So thank you. And again, thank you for doing what you do to keep our industry front and center.
It's hard to
Scott, how about you?
But I would say I do want to make a shout out to all the experts out there who were dead wrong with boring regularity. So thrilled to hear that the curve is indeed flattening, and I'm going to make a prediction that we won't have a second wave. Who wants a second wave when you didn't like the first? Definitely a shout out to those. Frankly, this has shed a lot of light on suffering, and not only coronavirus, but just so many other ailments and challenges and troubles and tribulations and things that people deal with. A shout out to those who have just been burdened with tragedy and difficulty. But what a blessing it is to be in a position like we all are as an industry, like the Jillian Fund, to come alongside other people, come along less fortunate people, come alongside people who had horrible circumstances or some type of ailment. I know we've got one employee that just went through a surgery, and I'll make a shout out to Derek and just pray for his speedy recovery.
Yes, to Derek.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, And then we just have some amazing warrior-like people. They've just risen to the occasion. They haven't hunkered down in fear. They were so proactive on the audiovisual solution side, the security solution side. They've just been incredible. We've had people approach Shane and I as employees and told us they're willing to take pay cuts, which I didn't see that coming. Happy to say that nobody's had a pay cut. Nobody's been asked to take a pay cut. But it just gives you an idea of the spirit. I've loved the community of our people, how they've come together and worked together. Just been absolutely resilient. Everybody's oars are in the water, and we're thankful for that. We're thankful that our business is healthy. We're not a highly leveraged firm. We had a dad that was very debt adverse. We kind of kept that vein in the business, and we're not a highly leveraged zombie company that looks like something it's not. What you see is what you get, and God's blessed it. And we're just, heck, we've even hired some people. So we're getting ready for what's coming next. And we think, as an encouragement to everyone, what's coming next is going to be better than before these things happened in March. So I'd say buckle up, get ready, and let's get rolling.
Now, what you just heard is what typically happens in our company. I will talk first, and then Scott will say, how do you top it? And I'll be darned if he doesn't.
I don't know about that. My dad always told us that between the two of us, we make one good. We make a good man.
Yep. So, takes two.
I got a great partner, and a shout out to him. He's amazing. I wouldn't want to do it with anybody but Shane.
Works well for both of us.
You guys are the best. You have a special company. I love your team. And, again, I miss visiting you in person. We'll be back next year, and, stay doing what you're doing. And, I know the pressed white shirt industry thanks you. The tie industry thanks you. And I just love it. I love how old you guys are, old school, and your team is fired up every morning when we can come in there and visit, and they look like they're ready to go hit it. And it sounds like they've been just doing that ever since. And you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time with me, and we will check back in with you in a few months.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Andy. Rest of the weekend.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.